Welcome to the 2025-26 ECEAP Performance Standards Recorded Orientation. Our goals for this orientation are to review the process that DCYF followed with ECEAP contractors regarding the revisions to the 25-26 ECEAP Performance Standards. We will provide guidance on how to utilize the training copy of the Performance Standards, give an overview of the changes for 25-26, and share information about our open office hours later this month. As you listen to the orientation, please take note of any questions you may have. Our team will be hosting virtual office hours at the end of June to address your inquiries and clarify the changes to the performance standards for 25-26. Additional details will be shared at the end of this recording. DCYF ECEAP convened a work group from November 2024 through February 2025 to identify potential revisions to the ECEAP performance standards. This work group included DCYF ECEAP staff and representatives from the Washington State Association of Head Start and ECEAP, along with a total of 60 representatives from 38 ECEAP contractors. These contractors included educational service districts, nonprofit organizations, school districts, licensed child care providers, family child care providers, tribal nations, Head Start grantees, community colleges, and county governments. This participation accounts for more than half of our ECEAP contractors. During this legislative session, bills related to ECEAP vital records and age eligibility were passed. The changes from these bills, effective July 1, 2025, are included in the 25-26 ECEAP performance standards. DCYF has also submitted a request for Washington Administrative Code rulemaking to ensure that the ECEAP performance standards align with the revised Code of Washington, RCW, and WAC. The changes made through this process will be fully incorporated into future revisions of the performance standards. Further considerations for revising the standards include a review of ECEAP monitoring data, requests for clarifications of the performance standards, and an examination of waivers and variances requested by contractors. We would like to extend our gratitude to all workgroup participants, including those who contributed additional suggestions via email or through their continuous quality improvement specialist. The 2025-26 ECEAP Performance Standards training copy is available on the ECEAP contractor webpage listed here on the slide. Please have your copy of the ECEAP Performance Standards training copy open while you watch this video so you can easily note any questions you have. Based on questions and feedback received during the May ECEAP Directors Meeting, our team decided to remove the definition of regular early childhood program from the performance standards and to eliminate all references to this definition within the standards. Please be aware that updates were made to the 25-26 ECEAP performance standards at the end of May, and new copies were posted on the DCYF ECEAP webpage. Additionally, our team developed an information sheet that can be found on the DCYF ECEAP contractor page titled Regular Early Childhood Program. The training copy includes highlighted sections throughout the performance standards document to help quickly identify changes in requirements. Language that has been revised for clarity is highlighted in gray, while new requirements are highlighted in yellow. Please note that some requirements have been removed from the performance standards or merged with other standards, which necessitated the renumbering of certain sections. Additionally, the legislature did not allocate funding for the Birth to 3 Early Childhood Education and Assistance Program, known as Early ECEAP, for the upcoming biennium. Consequently, all requirements and references related to the Birth to 3 ECEAP have been removed. Intent and authority. One new definition was added to IA1 ECEAP definitions. Differentiate means to plan for and individualize services to enrolled children and families based on their individual needs, identified through initial application and priority factors initial mobility mentoring, family support conversations, developmental and health screening, and family choice. Child outcomes. The language you see here, highlighted in gray, reflects clarifications based on workgroup feedback, contractor questions, and the intent of this standard. Screening is required once per child while enrolled in ECEAP. ECEAP developmental screenings are followed by ongoing assessment of child development. The contractor does not need to complete a developmental screening for children who are on an active individualized education program or IEP, and the child had a comprehensive evaluation. The intent here is to prevent over-screening of children. Additional screening may be completed at any time for children as concerns arise from parents or staff. During the Performance Standards Workgroup, contractors provided feedback about the introduction statement to family engagement and partnerships. The area highlighted in gray has been clarified in the introduction to show that family engagement is a responsibility shared at every level of ECEAP services, not just the responsibility of the family support staff. Changes were made to both FEP2 parent-teacher conferences and FEP4 family support visits based on feedback from the Performance Standards Workgroup participants and questions from contractors throughout the year. For FEP2 parent-teacher conferences, you can see the changes highlighted in gray. In Bullet 1, we revised the quarterly requirement to 3 conferences per year. Year-round programs have the option to do a summer conference as needed, but it is no longer a requirement. In Bullet 4, we clarified language to reflect that attending an IEP meeting with the family may count as a parent-teacher conference. And here you'll see the language in FEP4 is aligned with the language in FEP2, in that we changed the requirement from quarterly to 3 visits per year. And again, summer programs have the option to complete a 4th family support visit, although it is no longer a requirement. The language highlighted in gray is the introductory statement for FEP5. This moved from the section introduction into this specific standard as it more directly relates to mobility mentoring and not the overall implementation of family engagement practices. The language highlighted in gray was clarified to better meet the intent of this standard. The intent is to ensure that families have established medical and dental providers. Additionally, it emphasizes working with families to identify whether their children are up to date on all medical, dental, nutritional, and mental health needs. This includes reviewing immunization status, current medications, allergies, and any life-threatening conditions. Furthermore, it involves providing resources and support to families who are not connected to essential medical and dental services. In FEP10 Family Engagement, policy development was added to the description of opportunities to be inclusive of program policy development activities such as Policy Council. Professional development, training, and requirements. In PDTR1 Staffing Patterns, Bullet 2 was added to provide clarification that reflects a single person may have multiple job roles. PDTR2 ECEAP Staff Qualifications and Annual Learning Plans. Based on feedback received during the Performance Standards Workgroup, language was added here to PDTR2 Bullet 5 to clarify that this does not require a separate process specific to ECEAP. Annual learning plans are required for all staff that include professional development goals. Contractors may use their existing process in place to implement annual learning plans for staff. In PDTR5 Bullet 3, language was revised to extend the period of time for the absence from 2 weeks to 4 weeks. When the lead teacher is going to be away for more than 4 weeks, a substitute must be found that meets the qualifications. Additionally, if the substitute does not meet the qualifications of a lead teacher, a professional development plan must begin within 2 weeks of the appointment. PDTR10 required training includes changes that were made to align with updates made to WAC for licensed childcare and CCDF requirements for early learning staff to ensure continued alignment. You will see additional yellow highlights in the subsequent bullets of PDTR10. These changes were also made based on updates to WAC for licensed childcare and CCDF training requirements. Gold training and inter-rater reliability meet the requirements for Bullet 3J. The changes highlighted here in gray in PDTR 11 reflect the name changes that Teaching Strategies implemented. Their platform is now called Smart Teach, and they've renamed some of the trainings available. PDTR 16 reflects a clarification in gray to include a DCYF approved credential. Clarifying language was included in PDTR 18, Bullet 3, that includes the name and contact information of the new coach or coaches. We combined a number of standards in the PDTR section to be inclusive of both a description of the role and the qualifications required for each role. The following standards were combined: PDTR 20, Health Advocate role and qualifications; PDTR 21, Health Consultant role and qualifications; PDTR 22, Nutrition Consultant role and qualifications; and PDTR 23, Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Consultant role and qualifications. Based on the feedback received during the Performance Standards Workgroup and further discussions with the Tribal ECEAP Workgroup, we have made clarifications to PDTR 23 to better align with Head Start terminology and to clarify this role. We also heard from many contractors about the difficulties in finding qualified providers and received requests to align the qualifications for the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Consultant with Department of Health licensure requirements. This information has been shared to our agency leadership, and work is currently underway to update the ECEAP WAC to incorporate recommendations. Some of the changes proposed for this standard will need to wait until the WAC revision process is complete. This means some of the requested revisions to the standard would be updated for the 26-27 school year. Environments. Based on feedback from the Performance Standards Workgroup and the Tribal ECEAP Workgroup, we added language that allows tribal programs to utilize their tribal nutrition program as an option to ensure the cultural and dietary needs of children in their care. You see this addition highlighted in yellow. This option will be available in ELMS late summer, early fall. Bullet C was clarified to ensure an appropriate meal pattern for the age group. ECEAP contractors must provide supplemental food components as applicable. Participants in the Performance Standards Workgroup requested more explicit examples included in the standard related to body fluids. We added the area in gray, such as blowing nose or brushing teeth. Here in ENV 14, Family Notification, the highlighted bullet 2 in gray was moved from another standard into this section titled Family Notifications. This is not new, just a new location in ENV 14. Interactions and curriculum. Here in IC1 Inclusive Environments, language was clarified in Bullet 2 to ensure environments facilitate a sense of belonging. Performance Standard Workgroup members provided feedback regarding the alternative curriculum process and asked for a way to streamline it further. While we cannot eliminate the process for alternative curriculum requests, we were able to reduce the requirement for an alternative curriculum request for any curricula that is not already included in the DCYF aligned curricula list. This keeps ECEAP requirements aligned with Early Achievers Quality Standards while making it more clear when an alternative curriculum request must be submitted. Here in IC4 Curriculum Planning, bullet G and H are highlighted in gray. They were moved from a previous standard related to nutrition and physical activity planning. This puts all of the curriculum planning requirements in one place. The language highlighted in gray in IC6 bullet 2A reflects a name change to the training to John McCoy Leolash since time immemorial tribal sovereignty in Washington state. The language in IC11 no expulsion that is highlighted in gray was simply reordered. It was not new requirement, nothing changed in the language itself, but we moved it up to number 1. Performance Standards Workgroup participants requested language aligned with Head Start, focused on active supervision of children and release of children only to authorized persons. IC12 is a new standard this year that reflects this request. IC16 Alternative Attendance Plan. Language was clarified here to highlight that AAPs are temporary and time-limited plans. They are not to be in place for the entire school year. Language was added in bullet C to include a maximum of 30 days absence. This ensures a contractor has 15 days to fill a slot if the child does not return after 30 days. Before enrolling a child, please be sure to review PAO 51 available for enrollment to ensure the child is available to regularly attend ECEAP classes. Program Administration and Oversight. In PAO 27, required postings, menus were added back to the list. PAO 28, Early Childhood Education Service Delivery. The Performance Standards Workgroup recommended increased flexibility in what can count toward the required 1,000 hours per year for school day programs. Language was revised in bullet B, IV, to include new options aligned with expectations in K-12 instructional hours per year. Programs may count up to 10 closure days toward the minimum 1,000 hours for activities such as parent-teacher conferences that are planned and scheduled by ECEAP staff for the purpose of discussing children's educational needs or progress, screening days, family orientation, and events where families and children are engaged in educational activities under the direction of ECEAP staff. ECEAP developed an information sheet titled School Day Hours in ECEAP that is now available on the ECEAP contractor page. ECEAP providers who operate school day classrooms in licensed child care facilities that accept Working Connections child care subsidy may layer subsidy for eligible ECEAP children. Contractors may start school day classes as early as July to ensure they meet the required annual dosage requirements. Contractors must provide families an annual calendar with planned days of closure at the start of each school year. Additionally, in PAO 28, you will find a revision to the minimum requirement for working day hours in ECEAP. This was changed as a result of feedback from the Performance Standards Workgroup to better align with the minimum 2,000 hours required in RCW. PAO 37, Child Recruitment, includes language highlighted in gray that provides clarification to maintain a viable waiting list in ELMS. In PAO 38, language was added to reflect that children cannot be enrolled in both TK and ECEAP simultaneously. This matches what is already in place about Head Start. PAO 39, Additional Children Allowed for Enrollment. This was added to standards with the passing of House Bill 1351, which now allows children who turn 3 after August 31st to fall into the allowable category for ECAP enrollment. A detailed information sheet is available on our DCYF ECAP REE webpage under Resources, and it is titled ECAP Allowable Enrollment. PAO 52 enrollment includes language in gray that clarifies not only do slots need to be filled within the 45 days, contractors must ensure that the child is available for enrollment as defined in PAO 51. Additional language clarifies that children do not begin class before their enrollment is complete in ELMS. Contractors who need support with this can reach out to the ELMS inbox for questions. PAO 60 Administrative Documents. Language was added here in gray that clarifies current copies of family engagement opportunities, including dates, topics, publicity, and attendance, must be maintained. This slide highlights standards that were removed for the 25-26 school year. PAO 65 Non-Traditional Remote Services Policy was removed from performance standards. NTRS was created during the pandemic to be responsive to the emergency. This policy is no longer needed. When a center-wide emergency occurs, such as a natural disaster, contagious outbreak, facility repair, construction or licensing delays, contractors may reach out to their CQI specialist to request a waiver or variance. Additionally, document retention requirements that are already covered in the contract general terms and conditions were removed from performance standards. WAC revisions. DCYF is in the process of making revisions to ECAP WAC Chapter 110-425 to create unifying language throughout the chapter, incorporate changes made in recent legislation, and incorporate feedback gathered from Tribal Nation contractors and the ECAP Performance Standards Workgroup. Performance Standards Workgroup and Tribal ECAP Workgroup participants provided feedback to the mental health consultant qualifications. These requirements live in WAC 110-425-0090. These workgroups, including Tribal Nation ECAP directors and contractors, reviewed ECAP mental health consultant qualifications. Workgroups recommended updating ECAP rules and standards to allow a culturally responsive option for the ECAP mental health consultants aligned with Head Start standards. DCYF is beginning the WAC revision process. Information was shared at the Indian Policy and Early Learning Committee in May. More details will be shared as updates arise. ECAP Performance Standard office hours will be held in the coming weeks. Details will be sent out to ECAP directors via a calendar invite. Go to the DCYF ECAP contractor page listed here to find newly posted information sheets for school day hours, regular early childhood program, and Working Connections childcare in ECAP. Thank you.